And we're back. Another Tuesday, another fireside chat with Gillian and Janet. How you doing today, Janet?
I'm great. Do you realize this is the first Tuesday in
Yes.
January? The first Tuesday in 2021. This is
Great.
our first LinkedIn Live in 2021.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And we're talking about an exciting topic tonight. Today, I don't know what day it is. It is, let's see, it's 8 o'clock in Israel. What time is it in Central Time? Your Central Time?
It's noon. It's time for happy hour.
So, yeah, the beginning of the week, and of course, we heard the news that the UK is like in another lockdown for like, I don't know, they're in lockdown till like spring. Like they just need to hibernate now. Like they're in lockdown, I think, till like the beginning of February.
Well,
And
so are
Israel,
you. So are you.
yes,
So are
yes,
you.
yes. Yeah, they're voting. They're voting tonight. They probably already voted, and they're going to put us in. We're already in a lockdown. We are in lockdown light. We're going into lockdown full on Friday for 2 weeks. So, that we're all rolling with it. So we just thought, well, this might
But
be
yeah,
an
let's not
interesting
pay
topic.
attention to any of that. Let's talk to people about business and how we're all going to be successful in 2021, because there are certain things we can't be responsible for. There's things that we don't have any power over. So let's focus on the things that we do have power over, which is why we picked the topic today of adopting a firewalker mindset, because that applies to us personally and for our business. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're not kidding. We're not kidding. Like, this is not a metaphor, folks. We actually, both of us have walked the whole hot coals. We've done it.
woo! Look at
Woo!
that. There's my shirt. Fear into power. Can you see that shirt?
You
Had the
can.
firewalk experience. I just got this t-shirt as well as did the walk. So let's talk about our experience, because I think it will help other people who may have already done the firewalk experience, or maybe they hadn't done the firewalk experience, and what it
Wonder
means
how
for
it
their
works.
business. Wonder how it works, whether maybe they've been thinking about doing it. Because right now, Tony is doing a lot of virtual events. And that's kind of funny, just as a little side note. He has only ever done live events and didn't know how to do a virtual event, was actually quite nervous. The man was quite nervous about doing
Probably
virtual
no
events.
feedback. Probably because
Yes.
he likes the feedback. So that's the
That's
thing.
where he gets all his power and all his adrenaline from. So you're right, when he comes out on stage, and now he's loving it, because I think this week he's doing another Facebook challenge.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So that's
Can't
kind of
can't do
cool.
the firewalk. You kind of can't do
No.
that virtually. So that will probably have to wait until we can get back to being live. So let's talk about that, and like what our experience was, kind of like what we learned from it, and how other people could find their own virtual firewalk in
Because you
order.
don't need, because we're actually going to tell you what you need to know so that you don't have to go do it. We're going
Right,
to
right,
share it.
right, right. All right. So where do you want to start?
Well, why don't you've done it twice. So why don't
Yeah, like if once wasn't
you get
enough.
to own this one a bit more than me.
Okay.
And I
So
came with a different perspective. So I'll talk about my perspective afterwards.
okay. Well, so first of all, the first time I did it was in I want to say it was 1995. So, probably some of you weren't even born then. But anyway, so 1995. And when I look back on it, I would say it was Leslie said she's already done it already. Awesome. We'd love to hear your experiences with that. But what I was going to say is, it was life changing for me. It actually altered the course of my career, and so I wouldn't have the financial wealth that I have today. I wouldn't have the home that I have today if I had not experienced that, walking the hot coals. And I think what for me was I had an imposter syndrome. And I
Mm.
didn't know I had an imposter syndrome, didn't even know I had it. And it wasn't until we went through, well, that's, see, that's always the thing. Sometimes what's holding you back from being successful isn't what you already know and you're trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how am I going to get beyond this? You don't even know you have it. And
Mm.
so that was the whole point of the event. I didn't even know I had the imposter syndrome about this particular thing. But once I had done it, then that, and then I was willing to deal with it and say
Right.
I let go of that, because that's what the fire walk was all about. Was you identify what your issue is, you walk through to say, it's kind of like burning a boat, when you're in war and you need to get somewhere and you say there's no way back, there's no
Yeah.
return. It's like the river of no return. You're going down the river, you're not going back up. It's a one-way route. And that's what the fire walk is really all about. And when I came out the other side, and I didn't even realize until maybe a couple of weeks later the difference that it made in my life. And, that's a whole nother story to actually go into what actually happened. But so I didn't quite have the same experience in the second time around, because the big issue was identified in the first big round. So the second one was really good, though, because it made me realize that to leave my corporate job.
Mm. And that was huge.
And that was huge, to give up all the comforts and the benefits of a corporate job that was kind of making me ill to my stomach, but providing me with lots of great income. So wasn't that, but that for my own mental health, I needed to go. And that
Mm.
was huge. So one was to develop my career and the other one was to leave that career. So it's kind of interesting how that happens. So those are my two experiences, and then maybe you could just look at the comments. What Leslie just said. What did she say? It flashed
Okay.
across the screen.
Sorry. So first of all, she talked about Ireland. Ireland is going, and everything's, it's just terrible.
Another
All
mess.
this stuff. Yeah, right. So I guess Leslie has already done the fire walking, so that's kind of cool. So this was her comment. Well, Leslie, I don't know if Leslie's a guy or a girl. Sometimes it's a name that can be used either way. So whatever way I did it, I hope I did it right. So mind is very powerful and overcoming fear is great. Recognizing paper tigers. That's a great phrase, paper tigers.
Mm-hmm.
It is nonetheless hard to control negative thoughts. That's so true.
It
That's so
totally
true.
is. Yeah.
That's so
So
true.
I think sometimes you just have to watch your words. I think that's a big part of it, because we can still have that stuff in our heads. And doing mantras every day, positive mantras every day, I think does help that, to overcome some of the negative thoughts that you have.
Exactly. Well, and it's like we talked about earlier, that a lot of people adopt a word, what's going to be my watchword for 2021, and choosing your words carefully. You want to make sure that you have something that's going to motivate you and, really see you through. And so let me just share my experience. So when we went to the fire walk, because you took me to my first one, which was your second one, and we went, and my brain could only handle one thing. How am I not going to burn my feet? It was just like, I'm watching 10,000 people in the room and they're doing stuff. And I'm like, how am I not going to burn my feet? That was the only thing that was like the logical part of me was going, okay, what's the trick? Is it not really, we're going to put stuff on our feet and it'll make a glaze? Like, is there a trick? What's the trick? Maybe it's not really hot coals. They just kind of call it that, And then, of course, I told you earlier, when we actually went out and you see that they've been like all day making these pits, and these pits are, I'm terrible with math. I don't know. It's like 20 feet or 30. I don't know how long the pits are, but it was in this gigantic parking lot of the convention center in Florida. So that's
at
where
about
we were.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And so all day long, you'd been learning how to do this fire walk. And it was all about mindset. It was, it wasn't the mechanics of and the physiology of what's going to go on with your feet. It was about don't look down. Don't look down and look at coals, because then you're just going to see hot coals. My feet are on fire. Ah, you're going to scream. It's going to be
Well,
horrible.
and the metaphor for that is you're going to continue to see the issues that are stopping you from your success. And that will be the fear factor that you'll say, I can't overcome those. And
Yes.
you'll freeze.
And you'll keep attracting all that. The more negative you look for, the more negative you're going to find. That's just how life is. So the trick was, you needed to see beyond the coals. You had to see the guy on the other side who was waving, and it was like, this guy. And I laughed because now everybody has a mask, right? Nobody had a mask then. So these guys all had bandanas because these coals were so hot and they were tending these coals. And I remember the guy on the other side, and he was just, look at me. And I just had to, I was like, okay. And he was like, you can do it. And I think we had to kind of do a physical, like a hoof, hoof, hoof.
Yeah.
And then, and you don't run.
And your little mantra.
Your little mantra. So like everybody had to adopt a mantra. And it was like, I think I was kind of going, coolest breeze, coolest breeze. I had like some stupid mantra to get me, but it worked. And it was just like, and I just kind of, I chugged along. I didn't run. They tell you don't run, don't dilly dally. You don't, you don't stop in the middle and go, wow, look at that guy. It's like you have to just keep going. But that's the metaphor for your life. It's the same thing. Don't look down. Don't look at those sharks. Don't look at all the things that are there to bite you, because you know what? They're still there, but looking at them just paralyzes us. So we have to kind of see on the other side, what's that vision of where you want to get to, what you want to do, and see that. That's what gets you there. And then all of a sudden, I'm holding hands with the guy who'd been waving at me. And it's like, he's like, you did it. And it was like, happy dance, in the grass.
You just have this wonderful sense of accomplishment. And I think that's so important. Like, so when we tell people you need to have a goal, that you're willing to walk over your coals to get to it. Like, you can't have a willy-nilly goal. You got to have a goal that you really, really want. And you just have to keep telling yourself, I'm getting to that goal. I'm getting to that goal. I'm getting to that goal. Because that's the only way you're going to get to that goal. And we have some huge goals for ourselves this year. We're burning our own boats. We're crossing our own coals. And we're having to do things that are outside of our comfort zone. But that's what we have to do in order to reach your goals. If everything was smooth sailing, you'd already have it.
Well, isn't there an expression, something along the lines of like, ships do best in harbors, right? Like, but that's not what ships are for. They don't sit in the harbor. They've got to go on the choppy waters. And it's like, it doesn't serve you to play small. It doesn't serve you to just go, well, this is my lot in life and I'll just accept this. It's like, we even made a vision, for New Year's, and it's just like, where are we going to be this time next year? And it's like, I already figured out. I'm seeing where I want to be. You're seeing where you want to be. Even just physically, it's just like, well, let's not be in this lockdown. Like, let's have this be end, one and done. And I wouldn't want to be in a lockdown forever. So, right now we're in a physical lockdown, but we don't have to be in a mental lockdown. And I think that's the difference. And I have to just share the story that when we were leaving the firewalk night, it was like, you're so pumped. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're just you're on fire yourself, so we barely slept that night. So the next day we were going back to it was like a 4-day program with Tony Robbins or something. So we're in Florida.
Unleash the Power is the program.
Unleash the Power.
In Fort Lauderdale.
And we were
in February when I was living in Chicago. So it was a nice break.
It was nice. And it was West Palm Beach. Was it West Palm Beach we were in?
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. So we're staying at this hotel on, I don't know if you know Fort Lauderdale, but it's a really busy street. It's like one of those, like, 10 lanes, with a big meridian in the middle and this and that. So we're walking back to the conference center, the convention center, and I spotted a hedgehog in the road. And it was a mother. Do you remember this? And it was a mother hedgehog, and she had a little baby. And it was like, she was trying to get the baby, and and there's like a gazillion cars. And I was just like, oh my gosh, somebody should do something. So I'm looking around and I went, I'm a flippin' firewalker. I'm going to do something. And I hopped into the road, stopped all the traffic, and I got people to come I yelled at the sidewalk, come and help me. And I think you were gone, like you and Eden and Aaron, they were walking ahead. And I was like on the phone, I was chatting, and I was like, I gotta go, I gotta save a hedgehog. So, there I was commanding people off the sidewalk, come and help me hold the traffic. We were kind of whooshing this, like, we're getting this little hedgehog. We don't want to touch her. And we're like, she wasn't a hedgehog, she was a possum. She was a possum. That's what she was. So we're trying to get her to go across the road, and she's taking her time, and she's like, hissing at me. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to help you here. Be nice to me. And she's got her baby, and she got it across the street. Took forever. But it was like, I had people in cars and coming out and saying, what's going on? And they're stopping the other cars. And it was just like, act as if. It was like, there was nobody to get to do it. So I had to do it. But if I hadn't have been of this mindset of firewalkers can do anything, then I probably would have said, oh my God, I hope that little possum doesn't get killed. And it would have.
Exactly. Well, and that's why the shirt says turn fear into power. And so you turn the fear for the hedgehog into the power to help that possum to be able to cross. And that's the whole thing. It's like, that book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So there's a lot of times when you take fear and you can actually flip it on its head and actually turn it into positiveness. And what I always say is, and this is often what I coach people, is, what's the fear if you what's the worst that can happen to you if you stay where you are? And that fear, I always say, the fear to stay, when the fear to stay is greater than the fear to do whatever you need to do to get beyond it, when that becomes great, you'll move, you'll make action.
That's
true. Because
if
I don't want to be poor anymore, if I don't want to go and have to get, a full-time job, whatever it is that somebody's fear might be, I won't get medical benefits, or I'll get kicked out of my house, or my spouse will leave me if I, whatever your fear is, if you have a big enough fear, if you stay where you are, then you will take action. Because, if there's a war, somebody's shooting at you, you're going to get the hell out of there.
True.
Get the hell out of there. You're not going to sit there and wait to be shot. So you have to approach it. Like, if I don't want the goals that I had for this year to be the same next year, I have to move. I have to be fearless. I have to get going, even if I've got thousands of fears. And like, even, after I came out of that first firewalk, and, and I had an experience that caused me to have to deal with that and get beyond that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm okay, I could do anything. I was still fearful, but I knew I had to take the action, because I knew what would happen to me if I didn't take the action. I was a single mom with 2 kids. I had to take the action. The opposite of that would be for us to stay where we were, which I didn't like. So that's what we all have to do in our business. Like, if we don't want the same year, if we want to be better, but we don't want to just do, 5% more, but we actually really want to ratchet up our business, we have to be bold. And we have to have a firewalker mindset. So you got to deal with your shit, and you got to figure it out. And if you can't,
Beep.
Well, I didn't say a swear word. I don't think it's a swear word.
Okay.
It would be like saying some other types of words. But
Okay.
the bottom line is, I won't say it again then. That's all right. I'll move beyond that. But you know what I mean. So the SHT. But see, now you derailed me from where I was going with my whole conversation. But the bottom line is, if you don't know what's holding you back, then you need to sit down with yourself and figure it out. And if you recall, last week we gave you that whole
Planner. That
planner,
thing. Yeah.
which was hard, by the way. It was not an easy project. Like, they said, oh, sit down with yourself for 2-3 hours. It took a lot of work and a lot of thinking in order to process. It was not easy to do. But at the end of the day, I uncovered the things that I need to be better at in 2021 for you and I to reach the goals that we set, the lofty goals that we set for ourselves this year. I can't be complacent. I can't procrastinate. I have to be organized. Like, what are all my issues that sometimes hold me back in order to be really good at what I need to do? Because we got a lot of stuff we got to do. And we only got so many hours in a day to do it. So you have to get beyond that. So, but if you can't do it yourself, if you can't see the forest for the trees, then sometimes you have to get somebody to help you. So like we went to a fire walk. Maybe you want to join, Tony's doing his, Facebook challenge. Maybe you need to get a coach. Maybe you need to read some books. Maybe you just need to sit down and meditate.
Awaken the Giant Within is a great book, by the way.
Yeah,
If you don't want to go to a whole Tony Robbins, just read that book. It's a fabulous book.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
How many people do we know who are Tony Robbins believers who said they had no money, spent $20 and bought Tony Robbins DVDs way back when, or CDs way back when? Like, sometimes you have to look at, and I'm not trying to make a pump for Tony, don't get me wrong, because there's other people, great people out there who can help you today. But the bottom line is, sometimes you have to figure out what it is that you really need. Examine it. Can you do it yourself, or do you need help? And if you need help, then go get the help. Because otherwise, if you just pretend to yourself, and you got to look at, what did you not like about yourself, and where do you feel your deficiencies are, and move forward.
Exactly.
And it's very tough. We don't like it.
No, of course. Nobody likes it.
I'm a procrastinator, and I hate that I'm a procrastinator, because it's painful to be a procrastinator.
Right. But all you have to do is realize that sometimes different thinking is what's needed to get you to a whole different place. If you continue to think the same way and do the same stuff, you're going to get the same results, and you're just going to go same year, same stuff.
Right.
Nothing changes. So
well, that's it. I need something that's like a fire under my feet in order for me to be, because if I have to get something done, I don't stop until it's done. So whatever my issues are that make me procrastinate, I have to say, if I don't get this done, then I don't move forward. And it's that goal that's going to stop me from being the procrastinator. I'm never going to stop being a procrastinator. I just have to realize I have to have a bigger goal than the procrastination.
Yes. And
a good organizer.
Well, and sometimes too, if you really look and examine something, you can find out that maybe you just needed a process. A lot of times we can say, oh, I'm a procrastinator. But in actuality, it could be that you just need a time management program. You need a to-do list. You're trying to keep everything in your head. And if you can get a process, that alleviates the stress. So sometimes we just have to kind of say, well, what's the real issue? Am I really a procrastinator, or am I just disorganized? Do I need to be, do I need to have something that's going to send me email reminders? Hey, come on, you got to get that thing written.
Or examine what it is I'm procrastinating on, because there's certain things I don't procrastinate on. So why am I procrastinating on this particular topic? Do I need to have a mind shift about what that particular to-do item is and make it more powerful for myself? And then it moves out of the procrastination stage.
Yeah. And actually I'll throw in another
Or
really,
get
really
somebody
good
else
book.
to do it for you. Or get somebody else to do it for you.
I'll throw in another really good book about procrastination. It's by Brian Tracy called Eat the Frog. And that's a fabulous book, crazy title, but it's about sometimes procrastination can also be about fear. That it's like there's that if you do the thing that you don't really want to do and you do it first, then you're done. It's not hanging over your head for the rest of the day. And so
Right.
for me, maybe picking up the phone. Actually, nobody picks up the phone and calls anybody anymore. That's the old world. But that used to be my thing, that it's like, if I had to call people, that is the thing that I'd be like, I'll do it after my coffee. I'll do it after lunch. I'll do it. And then it'd be like, oh, it's too late. I can't do it again today. Oh, well, and
Right.
but all day, I never really felt good because there was that little devil on my shoulder going, you really should be calling that guy, and I wasn't. And so all day long, I'd be dragging that with me. So sometimes that's why eating the frog means take that one thing you don't want to do, get it done, move on, and then you can play, I don't know, solitaire or something instead.
Right. Well, then the rest of your day will be focused on the things that you wanted to do. So I think that's very good. So whatever it is, make it your first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Get it over with.
Okay.
I
So
agree.
to sum it up, fire walking is all about having that mental shift, a mind shift of looking beyond all the crud and getting over any meat that you're carrying around that you need
Right.
to recover from, but seeing to the other side of the hot coals and recognizing you just have to kind of keep your eyes on the prize, have that vision, and do whatever you can. Remember the image of the guy waving to me, and that's got across those coals by looking at that guy and just moving towards him and then doing the happy dance. And so that's how you do the fire walk. And if you ever actually have a chance to do it, it's a fabulous experience. It will never leave you. And it's a great thing that it's like, you'll save possums in the street. You'll be able to pick up the phone and call people. It's amazing. There's nothing I won't take on now. Like if somebody says, "Hey, would you come and do this?" I'd be like, "Sure." Even if I don't know how, I'll figure it out. I really believe I can figure out anything. I can learn anything. So I don't have any self-doubt anymore. So that's kind of a great place to be. All to do with fire walking and possum saving.
I like that story. Saving the possum.
Okay, well, shall we wrap it up? And we'll see you back next week. Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Have a good
Okay.
fire walk.
Okay. Bye.